present here. God speaks in the silence of the heart. Listening is the beginning of prayer, Mother Teresa. Let us now start the session with the prayer.
Namo Arihantanam, Namo Sedanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Vajayanam, Namo Lorisavasahunam, Papapanasano, Mangalanam Chesarvesim, Padamam Havai. Mangalam Padamam Havai Mangalam.
நீராரும் கடலொடுத்த நிலமடந்த கெழிலொழுகும் சீராரும் வதனமென திகழ்பரத கண்டமிதில் தெக்கனமும் அதிர் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறை நுதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறம் வியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்ததுமே வாழ்த்ததுமே வாழ்த்ததுமே.
The future belongs to young people with an education and the imagination to create. It is a pleasure to welcome our renowned speaker for the day, Dr. N. Asokan, Vice Principal, Academic, Science and Humanities, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram Campus, Chennai, to address the gathering on Mapping the Future of Education Landscape of India, National Education Policy 2020. He was the former Director, Dean and Principal of leading educational institutions at Tamil Nadu, India. He has 25 years of experience in the development of sound educational institutions. He obtained his full-time PhD in Material Science, Engineering Education from NITTTR, Chennai, University of Madras, Masters in Engineering, Material Sciences from Regional Engineering College, Trichy, and MSc Physics from National College, Trichy, Tamil Nadu. He is also Certified Accreditor for Asia Pacific Accreditation and Certification Commission, Colombo Plant Staff College for Technical Education, Manila, Philippines. He has expertise in taxonomy of teaching, learning and assessing process, faculty development programs on academic delivery and academic audit, micro and macro teaching, performance excellence, developing personal mastery and educational leadership. He has trained more than 9,000 professionals throughout India at VIT, Vellore and VIT AP, SRM IST, UGC FIP Guru Dakshta, Pondicherry University, UGC HRDC, University of Madras, ISTE, AICTE, STTP, and AICT Margdarshan. He has developed an innovative pedagogy, staff structured syllabus model based on revised Bloom's taxonomy and implemented successfully. He has published a book in 2020 titled A Textbook on Higher Order Cognitive Abilities, ebook on Concept 3 in 2021, ebook on Learning Outcome-Based Education. He is also writing a book on Crux of MCQ, and he has verified and corrected more than 10,000 multiple choice questions for online exams. He is a life member of ISTE and received Best Paper Award in 12th ISTE Annual Convention of Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry section. He is an advisory, editorial, and reviewer board for the International Scientific Journal of Contemporary Research in Engineering, Science, and Management. GRT Journal's members of editorial board. He is also an editorial board member of the International Journal of Advanced Study and Research Work. It is a great privilege to welcome you, sir, for the session. I humbly request you to address the gathering for them to get benefited.
Thank you. Thank you very much, madam. My screen is visible, ma'am, my PowerPoint slides.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Very good afternoon, one and all present here for this today's session on this 7 days faculty development program. I'm very thankful to the organizers and coordinators to give an opportunity to interact with faculty members. It's one of my passion to interact with the faculty members, and faculty development program is close to my heart. So today's discussion, this is mapping the future of education landscape of India as per as with reference to this national education policy. For next 45 minutes to 60 to 50 minutes, we will discuss about that. First, we'll discuss about that this international and national background about the national education policy, our future of education, how they are foreseeing how this education, especially the higher education, is going to be that. And what is the vision and objectives of National Education Policy 2020? And what is the outcome of this national education policy as far as this engineering and arts education? Because it involves more right from school education to medical, law, agricultural, but we restrict this discussion only for this as far as engineering and arts education. And how this future of works is going to be, then what this national education policy is preparing our graduates to face the future of works. We'll discuss on that. And finally, the different perspective of research I want to discuss about out of my own experience on that. So this is the overview of my discussion for next 60 minutes or more than 75 minutes that. So let me start with this. What is the international background of this national education policy, or a feature of work, or how our graduates graduate from our higher educational institutions are going to face this world, both in terms of workplace as well as their personal career. So first we talk about this. UNESCO is a long back they're thinking about this, how this graduate has to be. There are 4 pillars of this education. People talking about that: learning to know, learning to do, and learning to live together, and learning to be. Of course, most of the people know about that. And again, this social and emotional learning. There's another a forum which deals with this higher education group. So they expect, they're also suggesting and expecting that the students must develop not only the cognitive skills, both the fundamental skills of literacy and numeracy, as well as these higher order thinking skills such as critical thinking, problem solving things, and other emotional things, other things people talking about. This is another international forum discussing about that, the social and emotional learning. And of course, as you know, that STEM education, yes, people long time they're talking about this STEM education. They're also emphasizing that increased critical thinking abilities, higher order thinking skills, and deep learning about a particular field of study, mastery of the content, whatever the field they want to excel in their profession. And of course, problem solving, team skill, these are already people know, very familiar about these communication skills. And again, this Universal Declaration of Human Rights, everyone has the right to education, which was declared in 1948, but still we are finding it very difficult to, even most of the countries find it difficult to make this right to education for every citizens. Again, this national education policy give more emphasis for that right to education. And again, this is one of the out of 17 sustainable development goal, the goal number 4, always talking about this quality of education, which also emphasize that ensure inclusive and equitable equitable quality education, promote lifelong self-learning opportunities for every individuals, especially every professionals. So these are the different international forums dealing with their higher educations, suggesting, forecasting, expecting every graduates coming out of this, every higher education institution. These are the things, their expectations. That this is the international background about that. One of the input for this national education policy. And what about this, our national Indian background? I want to talk about that. Yes, as a Indian nations, yes, periodically we want to renew our new education policy with frequent intervals in terms of our national development goals, especially after this globalization. And it demands this more emphasis on this knowledge economy, and more very emphasis on this learn how to learn that. Again, people talking about only this lifelong self-learning about that. And again, this Right to Education Act also says that the free and compulsory education for every child of this up to the age of 14 years. Compulsory education is very important. That so that was the act that enacted during 2009. That is also taken care. This is as one of the input when framing this national education policy. And of course, how this at the same time, this national education policy doesn't want to lose or go out of this Indian heritage and culture that gives that matters a lot for every Indian citizen on that. So this policy is envisaging for next 10 years, 2022, 2030, next 10 years, how our education system going to be, what are the changes we want to do, what are the things we want to achieve. When we go on 2030, how our Indian economy will be there, what is the quality of every citizens in India, how these graduates coming out of this higher education institution, they want to not only get the job immediately, as well as how they have to develop and how they have to build their career for next 25-30 years. They're focusing on that. When coming to this finance point of view, people this India want to reach the $5 trillion economy in next 7 years, 7 to 10 years. They want to reach that. And again, this 2030, India want to be the third largest economy. So to reach India, to reach the third largest economy in next 10 years, how our education system has to be there. So this is the national background. With this international background and national background, this new education policy 2020 has been formulated. So it's only the policy level it is there. So when coming to the implementation point of view, it's very, very difficult. There is a great challenge for every people involving in this education system, right from students to teachers, parents, these educational administrators, education leaders. By and large, is every stakeholders, those who are involving in this education system, every individuals have definitely this great challenges is there for next 10 years. Yeah. First we will discuss about next how this education policy taking off. What are the different policies? Of course, everybody aware of it from 1960 after the independence. How this Indira Gandhi government created this 1968, the first national education policy, and 1986, Rajiv Gandhi again given the new emphasized the new education policy in 1992 and 2006, 2016. These are the different stages of new education policy has been evolved around that. Finally, this 2020, we got a new education policy about that. This is the just uh, travel history of this national education policy is that. Yeah, this national education for 2020 provides a framework for the transformation and reinvigoration. The transformation is very, very important. That when coming to this, if you observe this changes is happening in every industry, the changes is very, very fast. If you take a corporate, every once in quarter, every 3 months, change is happening. Of course, we know very clear about that change is inevitable, but how far we are prepared enough to accommodate the changes happening in every industry all over the world, that matters a lot. So this national education policy give a right kind of framework for the transformation happening all over the world, how we are going to be prepare ourselves. And at the same time, we are taking into account that the diversity of the Indian people, their traditions, culture, and language, that matters a lot. Of course, this education system, they want to build up. Every educational institution, every college or every university must give the high class quality of education, and at the same time, equity must be considered in terms of sustainable development. That's very important. That okay. So this is a background of this national education policy, or you can say that this is the idea or concept to keep in their policymakers' mind. With this, they created, formulated this national education policy. And coming to the vision, what's the vision of the national education policy? People talk about that. Is it's always this India-centered, not westernized, and sustainably into equitable and vibrant knowledge and high quality. And of course, we want to create a new education system that is has to be aligned with the aspirational goals of 21st century education, with this international and national different education agencies expectations are foreseeing how this is going to be there. At the same time, we want to maintain our tradition and value system of every individuals, every family, every culture, every race people we have in India. That also keep it in mind. That's the vision of this new education policy is there. And if you want to pinpoint what is the one objective what this national education policy bring into everybody's mind is that yes, every learner should become more academically, socially, and emotionally competent enough to face the life in future in terms of personal life as well as their professional life. So academically, socially, and emotionally, how we are going to prepare our students competent enough to face the future of work as well as personal life and workplace. This is only one objective if you want to bring into one point. These are some of the, very key outputs of, key outcome, what's that, outlines of this national education policy. I'm not going to go in detail about the entire policy, but just want to make it to reconnect people want to make it to re-emphasize that these are the important key points. Yeah, this is the national education policy focus mainly on the zero output or zero dropout. They want to maintain that. So as far as the school education concerned, we want 100% gross enrollment ratio must be there up to school education from first standard to 12th standard. So next 10 years, this is a target for every, of course, if you're dealing with the school, then we want to encourage, we want to allow, we want to admit every students. We don't want to any dropout from any of the students. And in terms of admissions, in terms of socioeconomic background, we don't want any single child to be left out due to any reasons, So we want to maintain 100% gross enrollment, right? This is in school, of course. And of course, we are very aware, and the national education policy formulators are very aware about the immediate, very immediate, and very great challenges about this shortage of the faculty members, qualified faculty members. I don't mean qualify means, I don't mean in terms of our undergraduate degree, PG degree, MPhil or PhD. I don't mean that. People really passionate about this teaching profession, whether there are people are choosing the teaching profession by chance or by choice, whether the people in the teaching profession love their subject, whether they love their students, whether they love their institution where they're working, and really concerned about students learning. That I mean the qualification of the teacher. I'm talking about that. If you see in that term, it's we are very shortage in that right kind of teachers. Moreover, this when we want to train the teachers also, that we have the acute shortage of master faculty to train the rest of the other faculty members. That is very greatly observable, and it's very obvious all over India. And again, these people, the national education policy formulators, they're observing one thing. Another one thing is that the interaction between the faculty, interaction between among the faculty, interaction between faculty and students, and interaction among the students is very poor. That's a very general observation. They might make it that. How, as a teacher, we are going to overcome this? How we are, as a teacher, we are going to create a excellent rapport teacher-students relationship. That is a great challenge. We have to think about that. In that sense, only this national education policy is the third point they created as the teacher education. They have a separate workout for this, how we are going to prepare for the teacher education. That so preparing the teachers for the future we want. They are working on that. Then the rigorous teacher preparation, they are working on that. So we are going to implement for the next 10 years that. So the objective of this rigorous teacher preparation that ensure that moving teacher education system into multidisciplinary college and universities. And they want to abolish the current B.Ed programs, 2 years program, and they want to establish a 4-year integrated bachelor degree as a minimum qualification for all school teachers. It's going to be there. Okay. So this 3-year program, if you may study in your subject, or 1 year, definitely people teach how to teach on that. That is a 4-year integrated bachelor degree program. This is the way they want to, for the next 10 years, the national education policy. When coming to the implementation, definitely one fine morning, if you apply for any school teacher position, definitely they will ask that this is a minimum qualification. Without this qualification, we cannot eligible to apply for the school teachers. Now, yeah, as I told that this 4-year integrated program is always focusing on your disciplinary field of study subject domain, as well as this teacher preparation courses. It both included. That's why people talk about this multidisciplinary institutions. This will be the stage specific and subject specific program that will prepare teachers from preschool to secondary stage, and stage by stage they go on that. Okay. And coming to this higher education institution in terms of after +2, going for professional courses, whether it may be arts, it may be engineering or medical, law, whatever it may be the course. The national education policy emphasizes and focus on 50% of the students, those who are crossing this +2 examination. Yes, at least minimum 50% of the students must enroll in the college education. This is what they're and for the next 10 years their programs. Of course, the current 800 universities and 40,000 colleges may be consolidated into 15,000 excellent institutions with a lot of restrictions or guidelines they want to go. So all the institutions, of course, you know that may be converted into either degree awarding autonomous colleges, or they're going to convert it into universities. So, or as a teacher, are we prepare ourselves to work or to serve, to deal with the students in terms of either we want to go for the degree granting autonomous colleges, or we are going to work in the university setup. So how much we are prepared enough for this for the next 10 years? It's a great question mark every faculty must ask themselves. And coming to this institutional autonomy, people talking about this institutional autonomy, you might have also heard about different webinars, definitely come across this. One size fits all, people definitely reject this formula. So the national education policy is very strongly rejects this one size fits formula. So every higher education institution, in terms of governance, autonomy, they must have their own system of uh, preparing their self to excel in their field of study, excel in their programs they want to conduct on that. So again, this is again the big question mark. Are we prepared enough? Suppose if the degree is not given by Madras University or Anna University or any other university, if the degree given by some university, whatever the name you call it, or whatever the college you are working, is that the degree given by that college is valid out in the society or valid? Does it has its own value system in terms of job market, in terms of marriage? That's also matters a lot. So that in that sense, every teacher and every educational institution has to think whatever the degree we are going to give for our own students, what is the value we are going to create, or what is the value system we are adding to our education to the students. We have to seriously think about that. So we are going to have a great autonomy, but how much positively or in the right sense, how much we are going to take this autonomy matters a lot. And coming to this national education policy and in terms of people always talking about this learning outcomes, what are the programs you study, you conduct, or you study, what is a learning outcome of the students are graduated from this every educational institutions in terms of learning outcome? That matters a lot. So I just want to having this two. One is the engineering education I want to discuss, another is the arts education I want to give. I want to discuss about that. As far as this engineering education concerned, is this is General Education Council. There's already this accreditation process is a National Board of Accreditation comes under AACT. They are talking about this graduate attributes. They have given some 12 attributes they define, and all accreditation process move towards this verifying or attaining these 12 graduate attributes. That is what the different stakeholders are expecting from the graduate from the higher education institutions. So there are 12 graduates attributes as far as this engineering education concerned. See, today these are the 12 attributes as far as engineering education is concerned. Okay, and when the national education policy come into the implementation part, definitely some part of these attributes are combination of these attributes also will be applicable to any kind of educations. We do not know. So when the implementation comes, definitely that time only we will be able to know that. So that's why I'm discussing that this engineering learning outcomes in terms of graduate attributes. This engineering graduate attributes, there are 12 attributes, namely that knowledge base for engineering, problem analysis, investigation, design, use of engineering tools, individual and teamwork, communication skills, professionalism, impact of engineering on society and the environment, ethics and equity, economics and project management, lifelong self-learning is there. The first five attributes: knowledge base for engineering, problem analysis, investigation, design, and use of engineering tools related to the field of study. Suppose if I'm studying mechanical engineering, this five is related to mechanical engineering. Suppose if I study chemical engineering, these first five attributes related to chemical engineering. These first five graduate attributes, this 4-year engineering program, we have to we have to develop this, we have to conduct this 4-year engineering program with respect to these five outcomes, first five outcomes. These five outcomes will help every graduates to get the job immediately. These first five graduate attributes will help the every students, every engineers coming out of the college will get the job immediately. From 6th to 12th, the rest of the 7 attributes will help every professional in engineering professionals to build their career for next 25 to 30 years. This is the way these attributes have been designed. So tomorrow, maybe instead of a knowledge of base engineering, this maybe knowledge base for physics, knowledge base for chemistry. They may anytime people may convert it into that. For example, this if you talk about this ethics and equity, and then which is common for all branches. The attributes number 6 to 12, which is common for all engineers, not irrespective of branch of study. Whereas first 5 attributes related to your branch of study, the rest of 7 attributes is common for all branches. Today, people talk about is common for all branches. Tomorrow, when coming to this national education policy, coming to implementation, these 7 attributes may be applicable or common to all education in terms of arts, in terms of agriculture, law, whatever it may be that. In that sense, only this is my this is my prediction, this is my out of experience. I'm expecting that. That's why I'm discussing these 12 attributes. Okay. Next, coming to this liberal arts education, people always think about the liberal arts education is, of course, even for 1,400 years old when this Nalanda and Takshashila University are talking about this liberal arts. But after that, this liberal arts, the word has been slowly disappear from our education system. Now they again bring back this liberal education system. So let us first discuss what's the definition of liberal arts. Liberal arts. People, because we have not come across anything like this so far, because we are always talking about engineering, medical, arts. This. So what is the definition of liberal arts subject? It's nothing but any subject can be taught as one as long as it is not being used as a professional training for a particular kind of job or career. That's very, very important. That. So if you start any subject, one subject, but it should not be very focused only on training the graduates to for a particular kind of job. That kind of education subjects, we call it as a liberal arts subject. So for example, economic is a liberal arts subject, But when coming to the accountancy is not a liberal arts, because accountancy, we are teaching accountancy to create the to meet the requirement of accountant job in any of the organizations. So for account, if you want to be an accountant, every accountant has to study accountancy, but not necessarily to study economics. So economics is a liberal arts, whereas accountancy is not a liberal arts, right? Similarly, biology is a liberal arts subject, whereas medicine is not, because medicine is, we are preparing the doctors. Similarly, English is a liberal arts, whereas journalism is not a liberal arts. So first we have to be very clearly understanding what is the meaning of liberal arts, what are the subjects related to this liberal arts, and what is the, so yeah, this is what again this if you prepare the students with a single subject or focusing on one particular job, then we are preparing the students in terms of like a I-shaped student. We are preparing the students in-depth knowledge about one particular subject. Whereas liberal arts will give, we are preparing the students, T-shaped students with a wide range of different verticals, not only in one vertical, different verticals of the students we are preparing about that. This national education policy will give more scope for, we have to prepare the students with the more verticals, that the T-shaped students we want to prepare that. So liberal arts giving that, in the national education policy, more emphasize this liberal arts to prepare the students, T-shaped students with the wide range of subjects they want to build up that. And one observation also, this national education policy says that this all the Nobel Prize winners are from liberal arts subject, not from any particular subject. This is what their observation is also there. So who are the people get the Nobel Prize from India? They have all studied the liberal arts subjects. So this is one of the observations they talk about that. And again, this in terms of liberal arts education, there are three types of effort the national education policy want to put it. One is this multidisciplinary effort, and interdisciplinary effort, and transdisciplinary effort. So multidisciplinary effort is a framework, okay, which experts can largely work within their well-defined field of study. When one problem is, they want to solve the problem, the different specialized from different areas come together to solve the problem. That we call it as the multidisciplinary effort. So this national education policy give more emphasis for the liberal arts courses or programs which felicitate the multidisciplinary graduates. So that is the one aspect of that. So this is, for example, this multidisciplinary subjects, if you want to talk about in terms of software development, for example, a team maybe spend considerable time to jointly design the interface. So more precisely, an application program interface, they call it as API. So once the interface has been planned and freezed, then people from different experts, they can work on different verticals to get ready for all the things. And then again, they come together and they can able to make the interface very effectively that. So that we call it as, again, this because of this multidisciplinary effort only, this vaccination for this COVID has been come out with a very short period of time, even before whatever the time limit given by the WHO, World Health Organization. These companies, the scientists or researchers able to bring this vaccination well in advance time within a very short period of time. Whereas if you talk about this flu, which was like COVID-19 was very great pandemics in last century, it was affected. It takes 15 years to bring out the vaccination for the flu. Whereas for this COVID, less than a year, people are able to bring this vaccination. It is just because of this multidisciplinary effort. So different experts in different fields come together to solve a common problem. This national education policy will give more emphasis for these liberal arts courses so that they can able to create they can create the multidisciplinary effect to solve the common problems, right? This is one aspect of this. The another example, the second, next one is the interdisciplinary approach they want to do that. So in the same one particular field, we have a different kind of experts. So as if you take the physics is there, physics within the physics, we have different subjects, different courses are there. And somebody may be expert in this optics, somebody may be expert in electronics, somebody may be expert in quantum mechanics. So how these people within the domain field of study experts come together to solve a particular problem, that we call it as the interdisciplinary approach is there. So because this one problem related to the field of physics cannot be broken into separate problems. They can't give it to other field of study people. So some kind of problems is like this. So, for example, if you take this IIT Bombay, this educational technology department in IIT Bombay, they come out with a lot of MOOC courses or online courses. Just because of this people in this professors in this department along with their own PhD students, there have been different professors and different research scholars working on different theories, methods of the some people working on different methodology and educational concept, some people working on educational theories, some people working on educational methods. All these people bring together, they can able to create a wide range of educational technologies within one field, So within one field, you have different verticals. So altogether, people able to bring to solve the common problem within the particular field of study. We call it as the interdisciplinary approach. Again, this national education policy give a lot of scope for this kind of subject programs and courses they want to do that. So that using this interdisciplinary approach, this group of people can able to develop technology for enhanced learning environment to solve the complex problems related to improving the pedagogy for technology and enhanced learning programs. So any kind of problems within this particular field of that. So within the field, different experts come together to solve some kind of problem, that we call it as an interdisciplinary approach. This is one of the outcome of this liberal arts through this national education policy. The another one is the transdisciplinary approach. Again, this national education policy through this liberal arts give a lot of exposure opportunities to approach a different, some kind of problems need the transdisciplinary approach, which means that transdisciplinary, see, one field of study, say for example, if you take this lawmakers, people doing the law education and people doing this engineering education, or people do the medical education. The rare combination of medical profession and this law profession can able to do some kind of problems. Very recently, I came across some of the positions in UNESCO or world organizations like WHO or World Bank or World Economic Forum. They need the people specialized this kind of combinations. Basically, a lawyer and he must know about the medical exposure, or basically a doctor and have excellent exposure on law. So these rare combination, we call it as a transdisciplinary approach, because some problems need this kind of people together working on that. So for example, if you take the cyber crime is there, cyber crime is, of course, there are three people involved in this to tackle this cyber crime. One is this police department, another is the legal department, court, another is the expert in the software, in the cyber security. So when the cyber crime is happening, or suppose the crime has been caught, then these three people together to sit together to understand what is the depth that cyber crime is there, what is the effect or what is the impact that cyber crime is particular crime is being created, then what is the degree of level of punishment they want to give. So all these three people together sit and they have to decide on this. That's what now is happening on when, as far as cyber crime is concerned. Cyber crime experts are there in the software industry, that is different people. Police department, as we know that, again, police department and court always together they're working. But when coming to cyber crime, these people, court as well as the police department, taking the help of cyber experts in the field and to understand what is the level of crime is there, what is the impact, what is the damage they're capable to create that. That we call it the transdisciplinary approach. So the future, some kind of problems we need to approach with the interdisciplinary approach to solve the problem within the field of particular field of study. Some problems, yes, multidisciplinary effort we need to approach to solve the problem. Some problems, yes, definitely we need a transdisciplinary approach. So this entire outcome of this liberal arts education definitely will give focus on these three kind of approaches to solve any kind of problems in the future when the society going to face it. This is one of the so, this is the one of the interpretation when coming to the implementation. But how far as a teacher, how far as a department, how far as an educational institution, we are prepared ourselves to handle this kind of situations, or how we are going to develop our students to solve this kind of interdisciplinary problems, multidisciplinary problems, and transdisciplinary problems is a greatest challenge for every teacher, every educational institution. That so some okay. And I'm talking about this, some kind of problem is there, interdisciplinary approach, some kind of the problem, multidisciplinary approach, some kind of the problem we need transdisciplinary approach. So I'm just giving this some problems now the society is facing that. So one is this artificial intelligence revolution is there. Every day we are facing on that. If you start Google it, definitely if you're looking for some of the information in the Google, automatically those information coming to your doorstep. This is what is one of the artificial. In future, maybe next 5 years or 10 years, you may wonder the technology will decide the technology will decide on behalf of you and which food you want to eat, and or which educational which course you want to choose, or which dress you want to wear on a daily basis. Yeah, all these things maybe your technology may decide. No wonder that. Or to my imagination, I may wonder that the technology will decide which type of a girl or which type of a boy you want to get married. That decision also in future the technology may take it up. And again, one step further, to my imagination, I'm talking about that. According to your belief system, your lifestyle, your quality of style, you are exposed to this all digital. I mean, digital area. The technology may decide that which child do you want to get it birth. Maybe whether it is a male child or female child, you have to prefer. So that may be decided by the technology in future also. This is only my imagination. Okay. So now the climate change we are facing very, very, see, this is a September month. Okay. So last week, if you see in Chennai, even Chennai, that the heat was around 35, 36 degrees centigrade is there. Today is again, this week is heavy rain is there. So this erratic change is there in September month, say October month. So this climate change is a very big issue is going all over the world, all over the world. These are and again, the cyber crime, clean energy. You know that during the pandemic, we come across through this, the oxygen cylinders, the requirement for this clean air. Is all of a sudden the problem is all of a sudden is created. We do not know how to handle it because we are not prepared enough. These are things, new things for us. Again, so there are so many, again, this is heritage preservation, adult. These are the simple examples I give. But if you go to this society or environment, there are n number of problems all over the world is there. We do not know which problem tomorrow, or I mean, within next 1 hour, it come across in front of our eyes, in front of us. So how we are going to tackle it, how we are going to face it, how we are going to prepare it. These are the things, the world, I mean, threatening of every human being all over the world. These are the problems are there. So to how we are going to face it. Again, this is future of work, yes, because these are the problems. We do not know what is the problem is going to come in tomorrow, day after tomorrow, or next year. So this feature of work may be as I told you, depending upon our international background and all the people commonly they are discussing about that multidisciplinary skills or communication skills, 21st century skills. So these are the very uh, three or five, 3 or 4 or 5 or maximum 10 skills only people are repeatedly speaking, repeatedly discussing about that in different forums. So this national education policy will completely reimagine and revamped and re-energized our education system for the next 10 years to create these very aspiring students to face this. What are the problems the society going to face that? So future of work is purely depending upon on two things. One is problem identifying skills. First, you need to identify the problems, because most of the time we do not know what is the problem is there. To take this COVID-19, we do not know what is this problem is there. And second one is this problem solving skills. So any hereafter future of work, I put it into only two categories. One, we need to prepare our own graduates to identify the problems, because most of the time we are not aware of what is the problem we are undergoing that. So first thing, we need to identify the problem. So we need to develop our own students to develop the problem identifying skills for the second one is this problem solving skills. Yeah, once you identify the problem, then you have to think about the problem solving skills. This is the future of focus on future education, how we are going to prepare our students. So what is the problem finding capabilities? Because this is a new thing is coming up within last 3 to 6 months. This is a new finding we observed in different corporate, different industries, because people do not aware of what is the problem, why people behave this, why my business is going like this. We find very difficult to identify what is the problem. So we have to create our students, graduates, first of all, how to identify the problem, because nobody so far have defined how to identify the problem. We are not given, we are not come across the what is the definition of problem of finding capability so far. Okay, so we need to create our students on one thing. This is second thing is problem solving skills. Yeah, problem solving skills already we are familiar with that. In terms of those who are people completing this PhD, if you ask me what is the definition of a PhD, I will tell. I will tell this is a. Sorry, I will tell this scientifically, logically solve the unknown problem, so that with a lot of evidences, then the answers or conclusions must be accepted by the stakeholders. That is the definition of the PhD. If you want to, it's my own definition. It's my own definition. So if you have the PhD degree, which means that you are capable of solving the unknown problem. That is the real meaning of PhD. So how we do the PhD? So first we have to identify when any problem is similar to a PhD. So first identify the problem. So write the problem statement, or write the hypothesis, or write the objectives, research objectives. Similarly, if you have any problem, you want to develop the problem solving skills. First to identify, give the problem statement, or please give the objectives, hypothesis. Then what's the alternate possible alternative solutions? Plan A, plan B, plan C, plan C. Then have a discussion on that. Then find out which plan will be work out to solve this problem, purely depending upon your resources available with you. That is the way you have to develop the problem solving skills. You have to give more problems to the students to solve day by day, so that they can able to develop the problem solving skills, right? Then coming to this, what if a PhD completed before 2010 is not eligible? What we are going to do that as a teaching faculty? That because whatever the PhD thesis I submitted more than 10 years, 15 years before. So what is the use of my PhD? I mean, when I completed 10 years to 20 years or 15 years back, I completed that. So when implementing the national education policy, I do not know. This is my pure imagination that if any of the officer coming and sitting that the PhD people completed with before 2000 is not eligible, because we want people has to do PhD on current topic. That's what I'm telling that. That is the idea. I think that. So what is the use of PhD completed 10 years before? We want people to complete the PhD for the on current topic. If they say what we are going to do, are we prepared enough? That's why I always ask the questions nowadays that is your PhD valid today? Because I did PhD in different subject of some 10 years before. But what is a today's subject and tomorrow's subjects? I'm talking about that. So tomorrow's subject maybe multidisciplinary subject, interdisciplinary subject, and transdisciplinary subjects. So how I'm equip myself, how I prepare myself to handle the interdisciplinary subject multidisciplinary subject and transdisciplinary subject. For example, there is a subject called e-commerce is there. So how this electronics system or electronics platforms will be helpful to do my business commerce, the e-commerce. So already this Amazon, Flipkart, they're doing Alibaba and all doing this a highly successful e-commerce company. But what is how do we have the right kind of curriculum and syllabus? How we are going to teach this e-commerce? Which department staff faculty will teach e-commerce for the commerce department or electronics department or computer science department? We can't have two people to teach one subject because we need one people to teach both the things. That's what I'm talking about. So new subjects, new areas, data science, IoT, artificial intelligence, machine learning. These are the new things is coming up. So people may ask, if my PhD is not valid today, what I have to do? So is it possible to do another PhD on the latest subject? Is it possible to do another PhD on the latest subject? Or you have to go for the research. That's why we always insist upon the teaching faculty to do research on that. So research and academic both are complement each other. You can't travel only with one in one area. You can't travel along only with the track of academic, or you can't travel exclusively on the research track. This is like a railway track. One track is academic, one track is research. Both has to go where you want to go to your destinations, right? If both the track academic as well as research, then only you can able to go reach your destinations. Academic and research both complement each other, right? So research is solving problems scientifically, logically, with evidences, document evidences. So solutions should be accepted by stakeholders. Now people asking that how many classroom problems you solve. If you say that I am a PhD holder, I'm able to solve problems. How many classroom problems I have solved? How many my department problems I solved? How many my institution problems I solved? How many my area locality problems I solved? How many the problems, the students problems I solved? How many society problems I solved? These are the things you have to prove through research. You have to prove through research, right? So I don't want to do. So again, this national education policy give more emphasis on research and innovation, and these are 20,000 crores they're ready to spend for this research. They put it into four major divisions: the research in sciences, research in technology, research in social science, and research in arts and humanities. So how much money you want to utilize out of 20,000 crores, this matters a lot, right? So yeah. The final question coming to this technology and new questions, I'm talking about how is our education system going to prevent the obsolescence of people? Because the nowadays this is the humanity is completely nearing zero. We don't have any humanity at all. So people will not be given importance. Only technology is given importance. That how we are going to prevent, how our education system going to prevent this obsolescence of people. Every teacher has to think of that, and how when coming to the implementation of national education policy, how we are going to cope up with that. These are the things we have to think and act. So with this, just I want to close or summarize uh, this mapping the future of some of the points in national education policy, how this importance is given, and what is the international and national background. People always start talking about this. So many problems the societies have facing now. How our ultimate is one line is the how we are creating, preparing our graduates to solve the problems faced by the society. That's all. This is the one question you need to ask finally. That's the conclusion on that. Okay, thank you very much. So any questions, I allowed to answer that.
I request audiences to post any questions in the chat box.
Okay, well, as usual, no questions. So let us better to close this session. I don't know why people are not asking questions. So many webinars I'm addressing, nobody is asking, nobody is getting clarified their doubts. I'm very sorry to say that. Okay, shall we close, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
1 second, sir. We will give a
Yeah,
formal
yeah,
vote of thanks.
yeah.
Feeling thankfulness and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. Today, I take the opportunity to put all my gratitude into words. I feel honored to propose vote of thanks for this international FTP on mapping the future of education landscape of India, National Education Policy 2020. First, I would like to thank Almighty for the success of the event. I would like to express my gratitude to college management, Sri Abhaya Sri Shimal Jain, Secretary, Sri R. Ashok Kumar Mehta, Associate Secretary, Dr. S. Padmavati, Principal, Dr. S. Rukmani, Vice Principal, IQAC, and Department of Commerce General Shift 1, Shift 2, and Computer Application Shift 2 for organizing this event. I extend my gratitude to our guest speaker, Dr. N. Asokan, to spare his precious time towards giving us a valuable insight on future education policy. Sir, thank you for gracing the event. I also like to thank the technical team for the support. Last but not the least, I thank all the participants for showing their interest in the program. I once again thank everyone for making this program successful. Thank you, sir.
Shakti ma'am,
Yes,
feedback
ma'am.
link, ma'am. Feedback link.
Ma'am, feedback link. The feedback in
Participants
charge.
will be waiting.
Ma'am, it is not. 1 second, ma'am. I'll just